Oh. Hello and welcome to Facing the Monsters, Tackling Hard Conversations. When we were younger and even now, we had problems that we avoided because they were uncomfortable and we didn't realize those were problems that we were able to solve if we didn't make them seem as scary as we thought they were. So in the podcast, we gather people who care and want to make a difference. And we are here now because we are going through a historic time, which is the Derek Chauvin verdict. Today, we have five wonderful people with us. We have Sergeant Walton, Detective Little, Officer Mondane, Chance Stiegel, and Cordell Puckett. I want to thank them because they're going to be able to here to talk and we're going to have their take on the verdict of Derek Chauvin. So thank you all for being here. And I guess who wants to start first?
I'll go. Um, well, the whole verdict in itself just it was a very emotional time within history, considering that the George Floyd movement killing, it really woke up and sparked, everyone, within the world, like this movement had just made so many people realize that, what's going on in the world and with society just isn't a normal thing. And I guess people are just really tired of it because, us as Black people, we've been dealing with this for so long and we've just been, just been so oppressed for so long. And at a certain point, I think people really get tired and annoyed with all the different antics that go on, that happened to us as a community. So when it happened, I was very emotional for the most part because just to know that things like this happen so often and they go overlooked and these officers and killers get away with murdering these innocent Black men, and just to know that the man who killed him was behind bars, it made me very emotional and relieved to know that, the justice system is sort of getting to this place and coming to like a understanding of what we have to experience as a community. And just sorry, I'm getting a little emotional just thinking about it because it's such an impactful thing because you usually don't see things like this happening a lot. And so for me, it was just like, justice has been served. Although I think I think something might happen. I think they might reduce his sentence. I don't know, just simply because he's just a white man in America. But I'm just glad justice was served, in general. So that's how I feel about it. What do you guys think?
Yeah, well, I agree with you, Cordell, that this is something that has been definitely happening, you know, um, way too often and way too long. It seems like these incidents are happening in series, and I'm speaking of series because I'm thinking about um, you know, the Trayvon Martin case. I think about the case that happened and and Minnesota with um, with the guy that went to the convenience store, came out and the police officer shot him. Um, and I believe his last name was Brown. Uh, I also think about the guy in New York that died, from the chokehold. And again, these are names that I'm not mentioning, not intentionally, but because they happen so often, the name starts to run together. And so George Floyd, like there has been many um, law enforcement um, shootings at the, at the victims of Black men, and like those, yeah, they happened. It sparked the Black Lives Matter movement, but I really think the incident with George Floyd really sparked a movement nationwide, right? Not just in Chicago, not just in the United States, but in other countries as well. And so the verdict, what it what it meant to me was, I would have to say, like you, Corda, was very, it was emotional. I was somewhat just conflicted, because when it first happened, I remember watching, very, very tensely, wondering if they were going to, if one of them was going to, if one of the counts were going to be not found, not guilty. And then when I see the guilty, guilty, guilty on all three counts, I was I was relieved on one hand, but on the other hand, I was like, wow, this is they really sent a powerful message. So when I said conflicted, just relieved that I guess they made the right decision, but also kind of like felt bad for his family, because now he's, depending on what sentencing he get, he his he's not his family is just going to be, um, without a father, without a husband, or without an uncle, without a brother. You know, it's not just the George Floyd family that is suffering. I also think about, the other end, the, the defendant's family as well. So, and that's why I said conflicted. It's and it also bothers me as well, having a son and wondering if he would be the next victim, not because he's done anything wrong, but because he's a black male, and that's kind of scary for me. And you just don't know what's going to cause the next person to sort of, like, as they say, snap. You don't know. And so it's frightening for me as a parent, as an auntie, because these incidents has been happening so frequently that every time you turn on your TV, every week there's something where young black men are being killed at the hands of police officers. And in some instances, you ask, was that a justifiable use of force? That's what you know, whenever I look at these situations, that's what I always ask. Was that necessary? Would I have done that if I was in this officer's shoes? That's what I look at. As a police officer, I've made many traffic stops and had to de-escalate many situations. And I often ask myself, what would you have done if you were in a situation? But yet you never want to second guess someone else's decision either.
Yeah.
So you kind of ask yourself, what would a reasonable person do in this situation? So, I mean, I don't know. What do you guys think about that? I mentioned that I was conflicted. Were anybody else conflicted by it? Like, on one hand, you were like, like, yes, and on the other hand, you were like, like,
Yeah, I was conflicted too because I mean, at the end of the day, I guess justice was served, but justice wasn't served because the dude, it's not like George Floyd can't walk back and go to his family and like be
mhm,
with his daughter and his family. So I mean, yeah, it's good that the dude got the sentence. And I did see like pictures on social media, like when he found out that he was guilty on all three charges, he made a face like wow, why is this happening? Like I guess he might have thought that he would have got away with it because he was a police officer and he was white. But just to see like him being held accountable for his actions was good. But yeah, I was conflicted because he can't go home to his family, and even though they did get money for it, that still won't bring him back. So yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, you know, I agree that um, justice was served in this, but we have to wait for the sentence to come
Yeah.
because that's where we're really going to see if justice was truly served,
And
right?
I was just about to say that, like, the only thing that we know of is that he was convicted guilty of all three. He had all three charges on him, but what we really want to wait on is the sentencing, because he could be charged for all three and they could give him a pay sentence just because. So I'm very eager and anxious to know what the sentencing will be for him.
Yeah. Yes.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
Go
are
ahead.
you go ahead, Detective Little.
I was going to say that I also was conflicted, but for a different reason. And that was I was happy for the conviction, but I just feel that we shouldn't celebrate too soon because one conviction doesn't change a mindset that's been going on for years and years. And actually, you know, right before I called in, I was reading about another Black man that was killed at the hands of deputies serving a warrant. So unarmed, supposedly. So I just would want to caution people to, it's a start, but we still have a lot of work to do in this in this area.
Yeah, from my standpoint, I'm a Black male, so I chose this occupation, police officer. So I know what I got myself into. So when I heard the verdict, it was actually now I'm thinking work wise, because this could easily have been me because of my occupation, and then off duty wise, this could have easily been me because I'm a Black man. So it's just so many different like emotions that went through my mind. The most important part I think that I was proud of is that they charged him accordingly, I believe.
Yeah.
Usually most of these convictions, like back in the day when you were like when Cordell was, I think, was mentioning like all of this officers usually get off. I think it was a system that was broken, and they're trying to fix the system. Of course, it will never be completely fixed, but they're trying to charge people accordingly. When I first saw it, I told you, I think I saw 30 seconds of the video and was like, yeah, that was wrong. Like, I didn't even need to watch the whole video. I knew that was wrong. But I immediately said once he got arrested, if they overcharge this man, he will get off. And people will be confused at why he got off, like he didn't do anything wrong. So I was so proud when I didn't see like first-degree murder, or because it's so hard to prove stuff like that. I think the 3 charges they charged him with carry enough sentence, and I do think it was fitting for the crime, and that's why I think he got convicted on all 3. That's why I think he got found guilty on all 3 charges, because like, how long did the juries even deliberate? Like,
Not that long.
Like, not
A day.
let you know, it wasn't everybody pretty much could see like, okay, this was wrong. Now let's just make sure we give him the right sentence. I do think, from what I've been following in the case, I do think the judge will be like fair and good. I think this is good. I think this is a good judge. He's going to take into consideration a lot of things, and they're going to bring in everything. But I do think people will be happy with the sentence. This is just some speculation. I'm not like, I don't have any inside information, but yeah, I do think that they would they're going to be happy with that outcome. But as a Black man, still, even with like the vehicle that I drive, I live in a not so safe neighborhood. I still drive around. I dress like I'm in the streets. So there is a fear, even though I do have this badge, I do have a fear that But police accountability is doing better. I could say police accountability is better because I seen it on the far end. Because back in the day, I used to get slapped around by the police, and to today, like if only thing I think is I think we need to educate each other more. When I say educate each other more, one of the first weeks I was in the academy, I had my law classes, and I realized that I could have probably been a millionaire by now with so much from the city of Chicago for so many lawsuits of stuff that I just didn't even know I could do, from wrongful search, wrongful seizure, like so many wrongful everythings. I could have just, but I didn't know any better. I thought that, oh, well, this is what police is supposed to do. Well, this is how they're supposed to stop me. This is how they're supposed to search me. This is how they have the right to do this. They're police. Once I got in, like literally going through those law classes in the academy, and then like being on the street, I'm like, man, I was mistreated my whole life by police. So I definitely want to make sure I'll never become one of those officers. And anybody who come under my wing or who I talk to, I try to let them know, like, no, this is not how we police. You will not police this way. You will not, like, it's just not.
Mundane, what I hear you, and you're right. I really think that the judge will do his due diligence in serving, and serving justice. It's just that we have seen a repetitive cycle of these types of incidents where and let me just say, for an example, something that's even more closely to home for us, the Laquan McDonald case. And he was overcharged, right? And hence, and then so he shot a guy 17 times, and because they said that he had a knife, and we're looking at a situation now, just recently, a 16-year-old girl shot because she had a knife. And so you really ask yourself, although these situations have occurred, and yes, it's maybe a systematic issue, but when you really, in my opinion, when you really boil down, is really the bias of each of these, these institutional biases, right, against people of color, Black and brown people. And this is something that has been happening for centuries, decades, right? And so it does, you like, when is this going to stop? Every single, I can assure you that if you turn on the news, there's some stuff that's not even reported because it may not have met the news cycle, but then it comes out later of, of an incident. Or there are situations of unlawful, like you said, unlawful search and seizures, right? This stuff is happening constantly towards Black and brown people because people carry these biases against people of color. And unless officers are held accountable for their actions, then these types of incidents are going to continue. Now, before Rodney King, there has been incidents like this that has been swept under the rug. The only reason that Rodney King became sensationalized because it was on video. But just think about prior to having cell phones, right? Now the fact that everybody has cell phone, the fact that cameras are out there everywhere, now officers are starting to be caught. Before, they weren't caught for doing, just because you're a Black man or a Black person, you were mistreated. But now they're being caught red-handed, right? Because everyone is taking video footage. And I applaud the fact that, people have the right to, to use their phones and capture things in the moment. Because we not had that, we wouldn't have this movement that we have with George Floyd, because it was always the officer's word against the citizen. But now we have cameras that is exposing and exonerating people. And so I think a change needs to happen, but it needs to happen on a more hierarchical level, because at the local level, it's each municipality has their own rules and regulations on how they deal with police misconduct. But unless there's something that is um, systematic, that is, something that is similar across the board as far as how penalties or sanctions or holding officers accountable, then these incidents are going to continue to happen, because you may have a sheriff department that may not adopt the same type of, you know, um, rules and regulations for police misconduct as you do maybe a municipal, you have county, you have local, federal, unless we have something that is systematic across the United States, then these incidents are going to continue to happen. And I've done some research, and not every municipality reports or are required to report use of force incidents. Or and so unless there is a system-wide process of reporting um, use of force, deadly use of force, then you know law enforcement departments can continue to do what they do, because they objectively have the last say in how they hold their officers accountable.
But playing devil's advocate, and I am a black male, so but I am strictly playing devil's advocate. We will only see I think it's strategically placed that you will only see black or brown people getting killed by the hands of police officers. Because are you telling me that no white people have been killed by the hands of police officers? Well, you will not see that. Why will you not see that? Because my research has shown me, at least in 2021, at least 50 white people has been shot by police officers. But you will never know this. You will never see it in the news. You will never see it. I'm not even sure why you'll never see it in the news. I think that black and brown people are mistreated. It's not even close, the difference in how they're being treated by law enforcement. But I don't agree with the logic of we are the only one getting mistreated. Everybody's getting mistreated. When you're getting mistreated by law enforcement, I think that, number one, I think all of it should be documented and all of it should be known. I think the world should be transparent. Of course, it won't be transparent. Of course, everybody don't want everything that happens in the news. But when you get to handpick what you show people in the news, because that's why most of my conversations that I have, my favorite line I teach them that I learned on this job is totality of the circumstances. Let me know the whole story before you want my opinion. Don't show me half a video that you've seen or 15 seconds you've seen on social media and tell me to give me my opinion. No, I'm not going to do that. I want to know a whole situation. And even with the news and social media, they're going to handpick what they want to show you. They're not going to allow you to see nothing but black, brown, officer did this, white officer did this. Not even just white officer, black. They don't even show black officers killing black people. They just show I think it's specifically done that way. So you can see this race, kill this race has this power, this race has this power. It's strategically done. And I don't want to be like conspiracy theorist, like it's put my tinfoil hat on and just start thinking, but I think it's done on purpose. I think it is done on purpose to get us riled up to a way where it's like, I think where people at the top are just sitting down, just looking like, ha ha ha, like they're just laughing, and like we could get them riled up because that's who control everything that we put, everything that's on these TVs, everything that's on the social media. They control this. I think it's strategically put out the way it's put out, so we can have people just feeling a certain way about another group of people. They want that divide. They want to continue to keep that divide. So, and yeah, that's.
I also, to piggyback on what you just said, I'm afraid that the way these incidents are being portrayed are heightening people to think that every police shooting of a person of color is unjustified. There are many cases in the news as of late that the shooting, from my perspective, and I am an African American police officer person, were justified. Not all police shootings are unjustified of people of color. And, you know, as a person who was, it's a long story, but as a person who was attacked with a knife on a traffic stop in the performance of my duty, I can tell you, you know, there are some incidents where lethal force is justified.
Yes.
So,
Yes.
I mean, that's just giving you a different perspective. I didn't use it. I didn't have time, but I was stabbed on a traffic stop. So, you know, that's just another side of the perspective. So I would like us to be critical viewing these incidents, and not jump on a bandwagon against law enforcement. Be selective, because you don't want to diminish the real cases, like, you know, such as George Floyd and what that meant.
Yeah. Cordell, Chance, what do you guys
Right.
feel?
I was actually about to piggyback off of what Officer Mondame said. I had said this before, and I still feel this way. I feel like the media sort of like handpicks certain issues to gaslight they basically gaslight systemic issues that happen within the Black community to get an uproar from people in the Black community, because I feel like they feel as though Black people are, or people of color in general, are just easy to manipulate, in a sense, to where we react to everything that is shown in the media and portrayed in the media or on the news and things of that such, without actually, you know, dwelling into a case and, you know, getting more information on a case. Like, you know, something to be announced on the news or on the media, like, oh, something happened with this Black man and this white officer or whatever, and they know that that's gonna automatically gain people's attention just based off the title. Like, you don't have to know any other information. That title itself can just get, you know, millions of people attention. So I feel like they know exactly what they're doing. I feel like it's more of a I think they just want views, attention. I think it's more of that type of ordeal. So
Yeah, I definitely agree. I was watching this series on Netflix called A Man. And it was basically, this lady was saying like how the something, it gets like people riled up and people like burning stuff down, closing stuff down and stuff like that, and then police get to use it. Like, some police take it as an opportunity to use excessive force and just stuff like that, because I guess they know like these people are gonna like retaliate and stuff like that. Like, I mean, even if an officer, like, she was basically saying like, even if an officer wasn't getting harmed, they would just use it as a way to like just use excessive force and stuff like that. But just like, so far as getting people riled up, I think the media does do that a lot, and then like that causes situations like the looting and the rioting and stuff like that that could just be like really avoided.
Yeah. So I'm gonna help Shalom out because I know she on the time constraint. We all got. I know this is tough, but let's see if we can summarize all of us. Let's get 30 seconds each, like final words. Let's start with Chance. Since you up, let's go ahead, Chance. Give us 30 seconds.
So wait, just recap everything we just talked about.
Just not recap, but just your last final words of what we were just talking about.
My last final words are, I guess I just hope that like justice will be served going forward with everything that's going on right now. And yeah, not every cop is bad.
Okay, Detective Little.
Let's just keep the movement going, try to understand each other and do better.
Okay, Cordell.
Hopefully as these different officers and justice come forth within our society, hopefully everything just gets better as time goes by, basically.
Okay, Sergeant Walton.
Social justice is a slow process. We have to be patient.
And I'll definitely say that police accountability. Yeah, I want to see more police accountability. Like really hold us accountable. We do something wrong, hold us accountable. Like I have no problem with that whatsoever.
Yeah.
All right.
Thank you guys. Thank you guys. So thank you all so much for joining and just talking about like the verdict. And like honestly, everyone had a different opinion, but they ended up coming together and just supporting each other. And even me, like just hearing what you guys have to say, it's important that like I think like justice, like Sergeant Walton was talking about, it's a slow process. And also I think it's a part of like important that we as a community try to understand that process. And like not everyone understands like the law, not everyone understands, I guess, the not everyone understands a police's job and not everyone understands a person's life. So I think it's just important that we take time to figure out the things that we need to understand in order to make America and the lives of people of color like a better place to live in, just in a better environment to grow up in. So I want to thank you all just for coming on and giving all your thoughts and opinions and ideas, and just honestly, you came out with your heart open, and I'm happy that you kept it open and didn't close it up and had the time to talk and just give your thoughts. Thank you all so much.
Thank you.
No problem. Thank you.
I will stop recording now.